right, well, welcome to an EFT Business Spotlight. My name is Alina Frank.
And I'm Craig Wiener.
And we like to highlight EFT practitioners from all over the world. Today, we have the pleasure of introducing you to Ruth Hotson. And Ruth is based in Australia. She found EFT. Well, I'll let her answer how she found
good idea.
EFT.
Better from her.
Yes. So welcome, Ruth.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So we typically start off with, how were you led to this? How did you find it? What was your origin story? How'd you get here?
Okay. Well, EFT was one of those things that just kept coming up. I think I first heard about it probably about 15 years ago on Oprah. They were talking about using the gamut point for pain. And at the time I had really bad digestive issues. So that kind of intrigued me. I could just tap on the back of my hand and reduce my pain. And because when I went to see my mainstream doctor, they had very little to offer me, I was always looking at other alternative ways. And the big changing point for me with my health was when I went to see a kinesiologist who was also an EFT practitioner. So she used both within her practice. And it opened up this massive rabbit hole for me. I became so intrigued. I went on and studied kinesiology. I loved EFT, and I was really lucky that I live in the same state as Peter Stapleton. So I went and trained with her. And yeah, it's just been one of those things that it really resonated with me. And so I've continued to try and develop that practice as well, because it's just had such a fantastic effect on myself, and then obviously sharing with clients, I saw the amazing effect it has on them too. So just keeps growing and growing.
That's great.
So I'd like to ask, for those people that aren't familiar, because I know outside of the US, in places like the UK and Australia, kinesiology is very popular. In the US, it's not so much.
Yeah.
So I want the audience to know a little bit about that. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. It was actually developed by an American chiropractor, which is funny that it's not really well known over there. But in kinesiology, what we're doing is we're working with the meridian system. So it's the same system that we're using in EFT, which is one of the reasons why I love using them both together. And we're basically using a muscle response as a way to ask the body how it's functioning. And then within that muscle response, we're going, what can I use to help to bring you back into balance? And one of those things will often be, in my practice, because it's something I love to use, is EFT. So kinesiology is basically a way of asking the body what it needs. Okay. And then
yeah. And so your practice, it combines kinesiology with EFT. And you have decided that you want to specialize in, and you've geared your practice more towards body confidence. And I was really interested in some of the things that I was reading about you, that your healing journey was 17 years long. You find kinesiology and EFT, and that helps you with your digestive issues. And you said that you were feeling a lack of confidence in your body as a result of that. You were disconnected from your body. So tell me more about that, and then how you use that knowledge and information with clients.
Well, my digestive issues started as a young teenager. So from a very young age, I grew up having a body that I didn't feel like I had control of. So whenever I would eat, my body would react. And you can't avoid eating. That's something we all have to do. So I had to try and find ways to manage that. And it would have quite sort of physical effects on my body. My body would blow up and swell. And there's several times where people would ask me if I was pregnant. And obviously, growing up in the world that we do, the way that we look, people comment on our bodies a lot. So I was a very skinny child. People would often comment on my physique. So I kind of, as a child, I was going, okay, obviously the way I look is important. And then my first degree was actually in fashion. So I went into a world where the way that you look is obviously incredibly important. And I worked in the fashion industry for a very long time. So again, the focus on my body was a really important thing. And so for 17 years, not feeling like I could change or control my body kind of meant that I just felt I had to almost disconnect as a way to kind of cope with that stress, kind of go, okay, this is obviously just something separate from me. And so, yeah, when I managed to find a way to reverse or deal or live with that, it was so much more than just getting rid of the physical discomfort. It was actually being able to reconnect with my body and feeling that was part of me again. And that was such a huge thing for me. And I don't think at the time I didn't realize it was, I actually realized that more and more as I worked with other people and I heard other people talking. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I used to feel like that. And I don't feel like that anymore. And it was actually like working with other people has probably been one of the most healing things for me, because as you hear people talk, you realize how far you have actually come on your own journey.
Yeah, very true.
And so when you define then body confidence, because I seem to think it's much bigger than most people understand.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your point of view on that, because it's an interesting phrase.
And it's very popular right now. Like you see that out in the mass media. And so what is your kind of definition and take on what that means?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge, isn't it? At the moment, there's a big focus on making people feel that, you know, oh, whatever size we are, we're beautiful. But the real challenge is we're still focused on what the body looks like and whether it's appealing or not. And actually, for me, that's not what body confidence is about. Body confidence is about feeling really comfortable within your skin and being able to appreciate your body for what it does, what it doesn't do, you know, being able to accept our body, whatever is happening within it and whatever it looks like. So it's about being able to take the focus away from what other people perceive we look like, and actually being able to see the body for all the wonderful things it can and can't do.
That's great. I really like the encompassing of that largeness, that it's so much, because body confidence could just be limited to, I'm confident in how I look.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Making peace with it. And
right.
that's part of it, but it's bigger.
Well, it is part of it, but the big challenge is we live in a world where there is these huge businesses that are constantly making money from us not being happy in our body. Right. So it's going to be a challenge to always get up and look in the mirror and feel really good. Like an example that I often use when I'm working with clients is, if I'm not feeling very well, if I'm not feeling good at all, if I wake up in the morning and I expect to look in the mirror and think, wow, I look hot, that's not going to work, is it? I should be focused on the fact I'm feeling terrible right now, and the fact that I look awful is normal because I'm not feeling well. So trying to get to a point where we always look good isn't a very realistic goal, and therefore we then get that constant disappointment of, I haven't got body confidence because I don't think I look good.
Yeah. Can you share, without divulging any identifying details, like a particular person that gained that through your work, and the change was really apparent?
Yeah, I was speaking to, I do a program where I bring a group of people together so we can all listen, because I said one of the things that was really important for me was when I heard other people, I was like, you kind of, it starts to click a bit more. So I created a program where people could hear other people talking about how they felt and realizing how normal and how common that was. And I bumped into someone who was doing the program, who'd finished the program a few weeks afterwards, and they'd just been to a beach here on the Sunshine Coast, which is a very, it's quite an affluent area. So it's easy to feel uncomfortable at that beach sometimes. And they'd said they were with their child, and they realized after they'd been there for a while, they're like, I hadn't even thought about how I looked. Wow. I'd just been enjoying being at the beach.
Oh, that's great.
You know, just the thought of someone being able to just enjoy being at the beach with their child, rather than like, you know, sucking in their stomach, arching a particular way, you know, like, it's just, that's so beautiful to hear.
That's great.
Yeah, that's good.
So how do you work with people that you have groups then, and you also see people in person and on? Yeah. So I see people one-on-one, both in person and online.
And then I do a 6 weeks Finding Body Confidence program where we go through the different things that can affect our body confidence, and actually sort of getting to hear the reason I love the group is because people can hear other people's stories and share other people's stories. And whenever I do it, I find out something about myself and I get another layer for myself. So last time I realized that I felt I had to wear makeup to be professional. And I was a bit like, oh. And what was great was during it one week, I didn't say anything. I turned up and I wasn't wearing any makeup. And at the end, I was like, I delivered that session and I felt just as professional and just as confident without my makeup on. So thank you for allowing me to do that. So it's a constant journey because, you know, as we said, there's all those little beliefs that crop up throughout the way.
Yeah, that's great. So I think that covers just about everything except like, how can people find you? What is your website?
So my website is findingbalancekinesiology.com. Same on all socials. So it's just Finding Balance Kinesiology, Facebook, Instagram, and website.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for the important work that you're doing in the world.
Thank you so much for helping me to do this.
You're welcome.